All right, so today it is Wednesday, October 26th. And for math today, we're doing assignment 4.04, the lesson and the quiz. It's really easy if you pay attention to this basic thing. So I'm going to show you this trick about decimals. I made this crazy poster. So if you had a whole cake and you times it by 3, then you would have how many cakes? A whole cake times 3, how many cakes? Just say it.
3.
3 cakes. This is not a trick. If you had one piece of cake, if you took that big cake and cut it into 10 pieces, so you now have one long skinny piece of cake, it's a 1/10 of the whole cake, and you times it by 3, how many pieces of cake do you have?
3.5 cakes?
No, you have 3 pieces of that cake, right? So you take it, you cut it into 10 pieces, you times that by 3, you're going to have 3 of those 10 pieces. So 3 pieces. That looks like this, 0.3. It's really just exactly like the answer 3. The only difference is instead of them being 3 whole cakes, they're 3/10 of a piece of cake. If you look at what you times, 0.1 times 3, how many digits are behind the decimal? 1. So in your answer, you're going to have a decimal with 1 digit behind it. Let's look at that pattern for timesing it by hundredths. Let's say you take that one piece of cake that's a 1/10 of the cake and you cut it into 10 little tiny bits to share with your friends. Now you have 1/100th of a piece of cake. It's just a 1 bite. 0.01 is what it looks like. There are 2 digits behind the decimal. There's a 0 and a 1. When you times it by 3, it's just like pretending that's a 1 times 3, and then making sure that it's actually hundredths by putting 2 digits behind the decimal. Does that make sense? So what we're learning is that when you times a number by a decimal, let's say 0.52 times 1. It's just like timesing the number without the decimal. So the answer is going to be 5 and a 2, except that instead of whole numbers, these were hundredths, weren't they? There were 2 numbers behind the decimal. So we've got to make sure that at the answer, there's 2 numbers behind the decimal. This works even if you're timesing a number that is also behind the decimal. For example, if you times it by 0.1, now we have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So we would have to add a 0 to hold our place and make it 0.052. This is a pattern in multiplying by decimals. They're exactly like multiplying by whole numbers, except that we have to keep track of where the decimal point goes. And one trick to doing that is count the decimals in your multiplication problem and make sure you have the same number of digits behind the decimal in your answer. So for example, if you had 1.24 and you're timesing it by 2, you could pretend that decimal point wasn't there. Just pretend it's times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is, say it, 4. Good. And 1 times 2 is?
2.
2. But remember, this wasn't whole numbers. This was 1.24. It had 2 numbers behind that decimal point. So my answer needs to have 2 digits behind the decimal point, and that's how I know where it goes. How's that for tricky? I just saw Effie go, oh! So really multiplying by decimals is actually not any different than multiplying by whole numbers, but you're just having to keep track of what you're multiplying. Like, are you multiplying whole pieces of cake or not? So for example, when you were doing the squares, I saw somebody come out with 1 whole square colored in, and then they had 9 little boxes colored in. And most of you got that right, and you said that was 1.9, but one person told me it was 19.2, right? If it was 19, it would be 19 whole boxes. It was only 1. So the biggest thing with decimals is really keeping track and thinking about what it is you're timesing. But there are some tricks to them that make it easy. And one of those tricks is remembering that you're going to have the same number of numerals behind the decimal point in your answer as you do in your multiplication problem. So, Christian, I saw you had a question. Let's say you're multiplying 137, but they're all decimals, 0.137. That's 137 thousandths times 556, but it's 5.56. You're going to do that just like a regular multiplication problem. You're going to go 6 times 7, 6 times 3, 6 times 1, write it down. Then you're going to take this 5, you're going to put a 0 to hold your place value. You're going to go 5 times 7, 5 times 3, 5 times 1. You're going to write it down. Then you're going to do the 5 here. You're going to put 2 zeros in, do the multiplication. Then you're going to add it all up and get your big number, whatever it is. But then you can go back and you can count. You can say, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 behind the decimal point. I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know my answer decimal will have the same number of digits behind it as the digits in the multiplication problem. Okay, so that should help you with doing the math work today. It is lesson 4.04. I'd like you to try it today. Is that right? 4.04? Yes.
Yeah,
4.04. So if you go to the problem and you go to math, most of you got all the math done this week. I think with less Florida Virtual going on, you're able to keep up with your math better. So you should have already done your pretest, your 4.01, your 4.02. Yesterday, you should have uploaded 4.03, and most of you did a good job on that. There's a few of you still finishing it. Today's 4.04, Math Francisco. And all they're doing in this lesson is teaching you how to multiply decimal numbers using some strategies based on place value. So you're going to go through and learn how to pay attention to the place value. They make it a little confusing in this lesson, so they don't really teach you that trick. They're just trying to get you to think about it. And they also cover division. So I'd really like you to pay attention to page 3 where they're going through the division. Stretch your brain, try to complete the next thing. It's still the same problem. Here's a worksheet. This time you are not submitting this worksheet, but you are practicing it. So you need to print out this worksheet or get it in your notebook and practice doing your multiplication. So if you look at this first one, 0.8 times 4, what is 4 times 8? Who knows 4 eighths? If you don't know 4, tell me what 2 are and double it. Come on, guys, who's going to answer first? What's 4 eighths? 4 times 8?
32.
32. How many digits are behind the decimal here in the whole problem? If you were to
1.
count 1. So instead of 32, the answer is going to be 3.2. Does that make sense? Okay. Same thing with all of these. You can count the number of digits behind, do it pretending it's a whole number, and just go back and put your decimal in afterwards. After you do that page, you're going to go on to page 4 and page 5, and page 5 is actually a quiz this time. So you just do the quiz. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I need to talk to you about is the question that Mila had this morning about our project and taking notes. I wanted to share what I did after I hung up with you. I realized that I didn't actually teach you that lesson on how to take notes on your research project. So I went in and I recorded a lesson that you can watch in your free time by going to the homepage and clicking on resources. And you'll see it says Flexpert Project, how to research and take notes. If you click on that, there's a lesson on how to do your research. It's a 9-minute lesson. It's pretty short on how to do your research and take notes. So it's got me taking notes on some research. I'd like you to watch that today if you could. The next thing I need to talk about is, and also you guys, when you watch those videos, did you know I can see whether or not you've watched them? So please go into your resources. It's the very first video and watch the video today. The second thing is that the reading cats, so that's Vivian, Nora, and Sasha. Is anybody here? Sasha's here. Sasha, Nora got a hold of me and said she can't do 11 o'clock today. Can you guys meet at another time? So what's your schedule like today, Sasha? Can you meet at a later time? Or are you taking off this afternoon?
I have to go to my mom's house at 11:45, so I could probably do it like after the 2 o'clock call.
Okay, so right after the 2 o'clock meeting?
Mhm.
All right, I've got a boys group at 2:30 that I meet with, but you guys are doing a pretty good job of talking on your own. And that book is so good. I'm loving Crenshaw. Did you get it? Did you get it read?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I think it's a really good book. It'll be an interesting discussion. So maybe if you girls are willing to do a lot of the discussion on your own, we can meet then. I'll send a note to Vivi and see if that works, okay? So the 2 p.m. meeting. Also, I sent a note out to my Heart of Reading group. So Ms. Janney sent me a note and said she can't do the afternoon meeting today at 1:30. So Mila and Megan and Evie, I sent you a note. Did you get my email about that? I sent it through Canvas email. So
I got it.
check your Canvas email, Evie. But she's just going to come to our 12:20 meeting and meet with you guys then. Okay. Oh, you wanted to do the writing? We're just doing our last day of reading the writing. And so you guys can go on to that document at any time and read the writing. Okay. Don't make a sad face. All right. And then, so that I needed to talk to you about. I did the note taking. I talked to you about that. The third thing, Christian, I want you to stay with me and work on 4.03. And we're going to go over it again. Okay. Don't make a sad face. You guys are all making sad faces today. And then the next thing is my Dreambox stars. I have some amazing stars who've done tons of Dreambox this week. Ready? Javier has done a ton. Amadi, Eli, Luis, Kainoa, Evie. Sasha's done 13 lessons and Vivi has done a bunch. Then I have people who are right on track. They've done the 2 lessons they needed to do so far. They need to do their 3rd one today. That's Liam, Amoy, Jax, Lauren, and Christian. You guys are on track. Yay. That's a lot of the class. And then I just have a few kids who, for whatever reason, have not done their Dreambox and need to get in there and do it. So if you did not hear your name right now, then that means you haven't done your Dreambox this week. And you need to go do it now in a breakout room before doing 404.
Can
So,
we have
sorry?
can we have partners?
If your name was called, you can have a partner. If your name was not called, you cannot have a partner right now. So if your name was called, you need to go to a breakout room, do your Dreambox lesson, and then start on 404. If your name was not called, then you may stay here if you'd like a partner, and I'll put you in the same room. Sound good? And Christian, stay with me, please. All right. And then do I have a group at 10:30 today? No. Okay. So who wants a partner? Eli, you want a partner? Mohammed or Amadi, do you want a partner today? Nope. Okay, Bree, did you want a partner? Oh, Bree, your name was not called. You need to go do your Dreambox. Amoy, you did your Dreambox. You need to do another lesson of Dreambox though, sweetie, but you can do a partner if you go do your Dreambox after. Will you remember? Okay, let's put Eli and Amoy together today. And I'm trying to mix you up a little bit so you get to know other kids. So I'm going to put you in room 4. You guys can work on lesson 404, okay? And then, or you can go do your Dreambox together. I don't really care. And then Christian and Kainoa, put you guys together.
Christian, I will
Oh,
do
you know what? Christian, I'm going to put you there, but don't go there right away. Kainoa, he'll come in a minute when we finish the other lesson, okay?
Is it gonna take long or just stick a little
Not a
bit?
long, but if you want to hang out with us, you can. All right, Amoy.
I'll hang out just for a little bit. but
Okay.
I won't eat a lot.
So Christian, I wanted to show you this because you didn't get these right, and I wanted to go over them again, okay? So let's look at the first one. It says 0.4 times 7. So if I were filling in 0.4 times 7, I would fill in the first, so 0.4 is 4/10. Each of these strips is a 10th. So I would fill in 4 of these strips, right? One time. And then I would fill in 4 of these strips a second time, right? And then I would fill in 4 more, but this time I'm going to go over one whole square, one whole cake into the second cake. So I'm going to do 2 of the leftover ones here and 2 of the leftover ones here. That's 3 times 0.4. I have to do it 7 times. I'm going to keep going. So now I'm going to fill in 4 more tenths, eat 4 more pieces of cake. And I'm going to do it again, my 5th time. Ooh, that's 2 whole cakes. 5 times 7. I mean 0.4 times 5, sorry. 0.4 times 5, right? So 0.4 times 5, 4 times 5 is 20. 20 pieces of cake is 2 whole cakes, right? Because there's 10 pieces in each cake. But I have to do it 7 times, so I have a couple more. Here's the 6th time, and here's the 7th time. Now I've filled in 0.4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 times. Do you see that, Christian?
Yes.
Yes. So how much is that total? Well, it's everything except for the last 2. So Christian, looking at this, please look up.
I'm looking at it.
It's
right
1
now.
whole, 2 whole, and then 8 pieces of cake. So it's 2 whole, 0.8, 8 tenths. Does that make sense? Or if I was doing it the way we're learning how to do it in the new lesson, I would take and stack it. I would make it 4 times 7, right? It's 0.4, but I would just pretend that it's 4 times 7. What is 4 sevens? If you don't know 4, do 2 sevens and then double it. Hey, Kainoa, why don't you head to the room and he'll be there in a second, okay? Christian, what is 2 sevens?
I'm thinking.
You can use your fingers, just go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
14.
14 and double it.
What do you mean by double it?
14 plus 14. Doubling means you make twice as many.
14 plus 14.
18. No, if it's 14, it's a 10 and a 4 and another 10 and a 4. 2 10s makes 20. 2 4s makes
28.
Again, Christian, I want you to have a place value chart opened up on your screen so that you can check it, okay? So I want you to go on and I want you to go to a new tab and I want you to open that 100s chart. It's called a multiplication chart or a hundreds chart so that you can look up, oh, that's not it. I don't want a hundreds chart. I want a multiplication chart. Multiplication or a math facts chart. Something like that. Let's see what comes up as a multiplication chart, a math facts chart, just this one. Make sure you've got this one open. Okay, multiplication table, there's what it's called. That way, when you want to know what 4 times 7 is, you can go to the 4 and then go down to the 7 and you see the 28 on there. So open one of those charts so that you have that handy. Did you get it open?
Not right now. I didn't get it open.
Do you need help?
No, I typed it in and everything, but it's showing me different kinds of place value charts.
Well, I don't want a place value chart. You want a multiplication table or a times table. Just put in times table, TIMES table. I'll put it in the chat. Oh, it doesn't like me in the chat. Times table, okay. All right. So here's the deal. Oops, I don't know why I have the recording going.